What's up, everyone? Welcome back to You're Such a Nerd, the Geek Variety podcast, coming at you with the speed of unsound medical advice and more dead games than the hills have eyes. Will we make it out alive? Let's find out. I'm your host, Johnny Doe. Let's go. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We appreciate you. If you're new to the show, welcome. Today we're going to be talking with my buddy Max. They came out and we talked about a lot of stuff, actually, mostly focusing on kind of indie and dead games and kind of that whole vibe. But as usual, we're kind of all over the place. We have a Patreon. It's a very reasonable rate. If you'd like it, join it. If you don't, no worries. It's linked in the show notes below, however, wherever you're listening to this. Becoming a member of the Patreon will get you access to all the ad-free episodes you could possibly handle, both our main feed and the additional content like Critics Corners and Hobby Hangouts when we get to have those. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of our new patrons, so everybody stand by. If I butcher your name, I am very sorry. Stasia, Mas Alumhari, Shayla Ellis, Sukabumi123, Carrie Olenek, and that's it. So thanks, everybody. And of course, we'd also like to thank our initiates. They get it on all the shows. Tim Ball and Kevin C. Love you guys. We appreciate all that you do, every one of you, to support the show and share your hard-earned beans with us, because it means the world. Other ways you can support the show, if you like, is to like, rate, and subscribe and all that stuff, the platforms of your choice. Leave a review, that kind of stuff. Keep an eye out for our merch drop coming soon, and just spread the word. As you know, if you've listened to the show is completely guerrilla marketed. We have no social media presence. We're not out there slinging our wares. This is all an experiment in getting people to talk to people, humans to humans. None of this AI chat nonsense. No, thank you. Get out of here. Because if we leave it to the machines, they're just going to eradicate the human species. Am I right? Anybody? Am I too late? Did it already happen? Back to the hills have eyes reference. Anyways, we just want to spend time talking to other humans. So if you have any questions and want to correct us, meaning speaking to this human, feel free to send me an email at younerdssuck@gmail.com. It's linked in the notes below. And last but not least, before we get started, if you are so inclined, send me a postcard. The address is down below as well. I'll send you one back. We'll be pen pals. It'll be great. You get a little piece of something in the mail, other than the most recent, mailer with the coupon things. What's that thing called? Like when you move into a place and they send you all the coupons and then they just don't stop sending you all the coupons and you can use none of them because it's not stuff that you actually need coupons for. I don't know. Whatever that thing's called. It's not that. It'll be a postcard. It'll be for me. It'll be handwritten. It'll be cool. So, send me a postcard. I'll send you one back. It'll be great. We'll support the postal service. We'll be rehumans. It'll be amazing. And without further ado, here's my conversation with my buddy Max. Thanks.
Yeah, Forbidden Psalm, or is it for a different game?
Church Crusade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's
that makes more sense.
The armored train scenario is three cars. It's this thing in the middle and 2 storage cars. And then you got to have bridge and stuff. And I teetered out because gluing wood bark on the styrofoam takes a lot more time than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Especially that kind of styrofoam. If it you can usually do it with caulk or tacky glue. Mm-hmm. To the pink or the blue foam pretty easily too. Yeah,
and I wanted to get actual pink foam to do it because I have that one small piece or 2 small piece up there.
Yeah.
But it had to be because I wanted to do the bridge had to be there. It had to be 3 or 4 inches tall.
Yeah.
And looking at 3 or 4 inch tall pink foam was astronomically expensive
you just get a half sheet of 2 inch and then glue it.
I could, and I looked at that as well, but trying to find anybody who had in stock 2 inch was also extremely difficult.
Oh, fair enough.
So
I mostly just drive around and raid construction zones.
Ooh, well, if you want to raid construction zones, if you want to raid a construction zone and you find pink foam.
Oh, I have a bunch of pink foam at home. There's an inch and a half, 2 inches, stuff like that.
You can holla at me. I will.
I'm using a lot of it for my Necropolis boards, but I did grab a nice piece of, I guess it was a crate or something, but it's exactly 16 inches wide and it's enough for 4 of them. So,
oh my God, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I still need to get on my board building. I really thought that doing the no new games thing this year was going to give me a lot more time. It has not. I've had more time off my device because I'm not just looking for the next hotness to suck me in.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my wife the other day and I was like, I haven't touched a paintbrush in a month and a half. just because of like work stuff. And then when it was really, really cold, it was like bitterly cold down here.
Yeah, I remember when the first time me and Orion were over and we came down, I was just like, it's not warm down here.
Yeah, it is.
I doubt even with a heater going, it's good.
Yeah, a heater takes a long time. I did get a radiator heater, which helps a bit. But when it's like 52 degrees in here,
yeah,
you have to leave it running for an hour just to get it to like 56 or 55, and then I'm like working on stuff and then my hands are numb and then I'm like, I can't feel my hands anymore. And you pair that with arthritis and then I'm dropping my paintbrush and then I'm just annoyed. So I just call it quits.
Yeah. I learned that between the months of like October and February, I can't work out in the shop for detail work just because it's a wooden shop with almost zero insulation. So
is that where you do most of your painting and stuff?
It's a lot where I do my like kit bashing and like I'll look through my bits and stuff. That's where I have 3 of those like interlocking finger crates that are just filled to the brim with just kits in bags. So like they're organized into like modern day fantasy sci-fi. Sci-fi is by company, so I have like GW, and then from GW it's like all the different factions. So I have it like organized into the 3 main types, but it's fun. I didn't know that I went through it and I was organizing it and seeing what I had, and one kit, it's a Tamiya kit. It's a 172 Tamiya kit for the Sherman, and it's 5 Shermans in one box. I didn't know that I bought the Sherman, used the Sherman tanks as my Tonk vehicles, because they're 15 mil, so they're tiny, and then all the turrets. So I just have 5 Sherman turrets still on Spro, and I have no idea what to do with them. Probably just try and kit bash an Emerson tongue mech or something.
There you go. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because they're the right size for like mech size, right? Wouldn't they be? Close?
172 is 15 mil, roughly. 135 is 28-ish,
Yep.
so.
Well, I don't know. Like Battletech's at like 28 mil, isn't it? But it's like...
Battletech is like 6 mil.
It's 6 mil is what it's... But the models are like a 28 mil size, but they're like 6 mil terrain-ish. Okay, so yeah, so that terrain's way off.
What is it? It's probably like Goblin Watch or Goblin Works. It's like alternate World War II where there's walking mechs.
Ooh, I like walking mechs.
I forget what it is. Conflict 47 or
Oh,
something?
Conflict 47. Yeah. Goblin. You say Goblin Works. I'm like, I know something about Goblin Works, but I didn't realize that was Conflict, yeah.
Yeah.
Conflict with a K.
Or like Dust, I really enjoy. The aesthetic of Scott Westerfeld's Leviathan series is awesome. It's alternate universe World War I where the Germans and the Axis went really into mechanics, and so they have like kerosene and diesel powered spider mechs.
Yeah, it's kind of like Diesel Punk.
Yeah, it's Diesel Punk, and then the Allies did bioorganic, so they gene splice everything. And Keith Thompson is the artist, and he's such a good artist. He has the same kind of like vibe as John Blanche, but instead of John Blanche's like, I use 4 colors and I sketch, Keith Thompson uses like 12 colors and is super detail oriented because he does a lot of digital work. So he can do the zoom in and the zoom out, where John Blanche almost exclusively does pen and paper. Yeah.
Did you watch the Grim in the Dark documentary?
I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it because I fell asleep.
Yeah, it's like a little slowish, and they don't get to John Blanche till right at the end, which was a criticism I heard about it. Was they're like, John Blanche is in it for like 10 minutes, an
entire movie about John Blanche.
It's basically 10 minutes of John Blanche, right?
It's like an hour and 20 minutes of people jerking off John Blanche, and then John Blanche being like, I was not that good. Yeah,
basically. And he's definitely gotten older, and it reflects, but like he's moved a lot to mostly sketch. It was looking like like later in his career, he was doing mostly just like sketch work instead, and he's kind of moved away from the full color stuff. That he was doing in the past. But I love the art stuff. So I've got the 28 collected upstairs. I've got the Art and Arcana for D&D and those kinds of books. Sunrot I loved because of the art and the aesthetic of it.
I mean, I still own the original Inquisitor rulebook.
Oh my god, that's got to be cool.
Oh yeah, because of all the art, because it's 80% of all John Blanche stuff. So
there's something about that the vibe. I was listening to the Snarlcast. It's a podcast by Uncle Adam and Vince Venturella, and they focus on it's focused on like game design, which is like I'm not a game designer. I have no interest in designing games, but I started listening to it because I like Uncle Adam. He's got like a kind of a cool vibe as far as like
I don't know who that is.
Okay, well he's like a YouTube guy. And he's older than everyone in this room. And he's got a very like DIY kit bash mini agnostic. And they're the ones that they have Starling Badgers games, so they do Space Station Zero and all those games, right? Rain and Hell, all that kind of stuff. They're all those games. That's all theirs. And they have these mini zines too, which have like little games in them. And so it's one of those podcasts that I listen to where I can put it on. I don't really have to pay that close of attention, right? But it gives me something other than like the silence of my brain or like whatever my daughter is watching on TV that I don't want to have to listen to, you know, but I'm not missing it. Like if it's a audiobook I'm really into, or if it's a podcast that I'm really into the content, you know, so I can just put it on and kind of, you know, get things from whatever. Anyways, long way to say that in the most recent episode I was listening to, they were talking about one of the things they came up with was art and using art in the creation of your game and what it can talk about your game and the aesthetic that it can set and those kinds of things. And whether it's photographed art or sketched art, you know, either one. And I think that's something that is so wildly impactful to a narrative or to a vibe of a game. I mean, Trench Crusade is perfect for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of food a little bit because we eat with our eyes before we eat with our mouth.
Totally.
So, like, if you're looking through a rule book and there's nothing but words, you're less interested. But if you turn a page and suddenly there's 3 pages of full art, or there's sketches that are in the margin or something like that, you're hooked, you're in. Like that's why I initially got into Morkborg and Forbidden Psalm, is because the rule books are intentionally difficult to read, and it really sort of just made you want to keep looking at the pages. Yeah,
it's got like the most manic design ever, and I love it so much. It's so like indie zine, like
it's like a hardcover indie zine,
yeah, but it's also like B-movie horror art and like all kinds of stuff and like pictures, like
it's very, I don't want to say like 80s synth horror a little bit, where like it's just very jagged and very like black, white, and like red and green.
Yeah,
it's very stark. Like if they use color somewhere, it's very saturated. It's very nice.
So that's one of the things that actually the first game that I got actually by Starling Badger was Space Station Zero, and it's got a very like 90s sci-fi meshed with a little bit of like pop art and 80s synth coloring, like real bold, strong colors and kind of a 90s art, pop art styling. And that's what stood out to me was like, oh, that's kind of cool, right? And to see that through there. And I think I've always had a soft spot because when I started playing D&D, I started, despite the fact that I started playing in the early 90s probably, that I was introduced to the original box Dungeons and Dragons sets and all of the just black on white, very mediocre art sketches. And I used to love getting the monster manuals and like once Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, I got introduced to Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and like flipping through the monster manuals and looking at all the art, and that was when all the big names were still doing all the art for TSR back in the late 80s and early 90s. So like that was those fully like what was originally oil painted pieces of art that were book covers and stuff like that. And on the inside, you just have these black and white kind of jagged sketches. And I think that really impacted a lot of my visual aesthetic when it comes to artwork with games. Yeah. That it's like, I like the juxtaposition of that very raw, minimalist style mixed with very strong colors, very, vibrant. It's really a big piece of what draws me to a game, from the get-go.
Yeah. I didn't start playing D&D until I was like a late teenager. My first RPG that I got into was Rifts by Palladium. Which
Throwback.
That's my favorite RPG, and I still have to find somebody that was willing to play it here. I was driving to Orange County like 3 days a week, like every other week for the last like 2 years, and then that campaign finally ended. But it's who was it? I believe when it first came out and for a couple years afterwards, Mobius was the art director for it.
Okay, yeah.
And that
would track.
Yes. He's very big into like shadow, but light direction. So it's feels very perpendicular to like a John Blanche. Like the John Blanche and Mobius and arguably Keith Thompson would be like top 3 in no real order. And it's just very much, people get like Keith Thompson and John Blanche, and then they see Mobius on the list, and they're just like, huh. Because Mobius is just very like Art Deco.
Yeah, sure.
Sci-fi.
But stark, though, still.
Yeah, very minimalist Art Deco. Lots of curves, lots of orbs, lots of organic feeling, inorganic stuff. And it just, I think that mixed with watching Alien a little too early in my life.
Oh, baby.
Really sort of set the tone for...
Little Geiger?
Yeah.
That's not going to scar you.
Just dark, edgy art.
Yep.
And I was just sort of drawn to anything that was like that. So I ended up in playing 40K when I was 10. So I've been doing this for 26 years.
So that's probably a good segue. So first off, Max, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you.
No problem.
So 40K, I always say there's a 40K nexus in everybody's gaming background. Unfortunately, right?
It's starting to be more just Games Workshop.
Yeah.
And less 40K just because they're shooting themselves in the foot with 40K.
Oh, boy.
Like Age of Sigmar and Old World and Horus Heresy especially. But like I say the word Warhammer to any nerd and they're like, oh, okay. I know what you like. Yeah. Like you say Magic the
Immediately
Gathering.
they're there, yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay. I know. I picked it up. I know what you're doing. Let's go. But Games Workshop is not a fun company.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of their business model and how they treat their artists and things along those lines. I kind of swore them off a number of years ago. I mean, that's kind of how we met and how we kind of started to connect was like in the indie stuff, you know.
Buy a Games Workshop kit? Sure. But like I have to like more than half the minis in the box.
Which is hard for me these days.
Like I've watched Dan buy an entire $65 kit for one bit and then just never touch the kit again.
Yeah, that's bonkers to me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to jump back before we move forward because I want to talk about obviously your gaming history, but I want to circle back to when you said we were talking about riffs and getting people to play. Now, obviously, we both are broad-paleted gamers.
Yeah,
I mean, we like a broad palette, right? We're very, very refined in that sense. Why do you think, or is it in your experience, and I'm just guessing it maybe based on the riffs comment, that role players are typically not as adventurous as board or miniature gamers? Like there was like, and I'm guilty of this, right?
I actually had this question asked a while ago. And it's because they get connected to their character, and they don't like. You spend a lot of time. How do I say this? It's so like you play, 30 hours in a game, and your character dies. Great, now you get to start over.
Yeah,
a lot of people will see that as like the sunk time fallacy or something instead of
sunk
just
cost
enjoying.
Fallacy.
Yeah, where I spent 30 hours in this game and now I have to start over instead of I get to make a new thing and do new character and stuff like that. So they also tend to be very. This is gonna, I'm sure, trigger someone, but a lot of very dedicated RPG players I know tend to be on the spectrum.
Oh, for sure.
And so they're very anti-change, and they can kind of control. They're used to sort of being able to control the narrative because the DM guides the story, doesn't really make it up. The players are used to having more control, and in board games and stuff like that, it's what the rules say, not what you say. So
I always say that I think there's a high percentage of neurodivergence in the gaming community as a whole. I think it's super, super. Just look at how many people hyper focus on things, right? That's a given. But I think it's interesting that like role players oftentimes like they play one system. Yeah. Right. And then you're like, hey, you want to play, Cthulhu? And
they're like, I don't like it.
No. Or you're like, hey, you want to play like what was that? There was a superhero one that was popular for a while.
Oh, Mutants and Masterminds?
Yeah. And they're like, no, I just want to play D&D, or I just want to play, like Pathfinder. Or I just want to play, whatever.
Yeah. I think it's the familiarity and just knowing what your friend group likes and not wanting to do it by yourself.
Yeah. Well, and would you say that role playing is a more socially centric game play style than necessarily board gaming or miniature wargaming?
I would say it's more like a micro community setting where you don't necessarily you don't always agree on things in game or out of game, and you just sort of have to bring that character in with you, and you sort of have to make what you're doing work. So I would say they are good at working together. I already forget what your actual question was, but
Keep going. We'll circle back to the question.
Yeah, no, I think RPGs, like RPG players, they're more community oriented, especially within like systems, like the 5e community, especially for like Game Garrison and Dice Knights, they're strong.
Mm-hmm.
But for like Call of Cthulhu, they only have like one game going right now. But for 5e, they have like 15.
Do you think it's like similar to the 40K thing, which is like, well, I know I can always get a game picked up when I go to place X because
pretty much, I think
everyone is going to play this game versus like these more niche games.
Yeah, and I think in broad strokes, it's very much these games are so well known and so well played that if I go somewhere that has a game store, I'm sure I will meet somebody that, knows Dungeons and Dragons or knows Games Workshop or knows Magic the Gathering. The meta and the play styles of each like group is going to be different just because of like power players and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But you go to Richmond and there's 3 game stores and you walk in with a 40K army or like a commander deck and you're like, hey, I'm looking to play this game, and there's like 6 people who are like, oh hey, what's up?
Yeah.
So
and to your point with the microcosm social element too, typically role-playing games, you probably generally 3 to 5 people is kind of how many you need to kind of get a typical game going and stuff like that. Whereas with like wargaming, I just need one person to play me.
Yeah.
So like it's, to your point, probably driven more by that community that you have. And if the community is not open to learning a new game system.
Yeah.
And I think, and I guess this is a good transition point too, of when it comes to playing indie and dead games, do you find that a barrier to that is the necessity to have to know the rule set because people don't want to learn a new rule set and you need to teach it to them? Or is it just people's lack of interest in getting into a game that, isn't being published anymore or is just a very niche game?
I've experienced both. I think I've experienced more of the first one where, believe it or not, we weren't around for Game Vault, but Game Vault, the game was War Machine. It wasn't 40K, it was War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started because one person bought 3 armies and were like, hey, I have 3 armies. This is the one I would like to play. Pick one of these 2. This is this play style. This is this play style. And people just, were standing at tables and watching, and they got interested and they started buying into the game. So I think I have experienced that firsthand with Forbidden Psalm, Trench Crusade, Battletech. I picked up Battletech because I just stopped and started talking to the people on Saturday. Is
it the barrier entry, you think? Because if this is what I like about miniature agnostic games, because they kind of remove part of the barrier of entry, right?
Yeah, you don't have to buy in for a whole new set of minis.
And if it's like a $60 rule set or a $25 PDF or something like that, but I've got miniatures I can use, now I just got to take the time to learn the rules and have someone to play with versus like if I'm getting into Conquest, for instance, right? Like Conquest is, all right, you buying into that ecosystem. And if you buy into that ecosystem and no one's there to play with you, also scale too is another piece, right? Like army level versus skirmish scale, or like war bands and stuff like that versus like a large army is also another barrier, I think, because if I have to buy 50 to 100 models and prep them and paint them to be able to play a game and I only have one person to play with, that also can be,
I'm just going to be
prohibitive.
Tailoring my list to be against this one person, and I'm actually going to learn the game.
Yeah.
I will say on notes of scale, especially for like size of armies, I think anything that is large scale where it's like rank and flank and you're doing like epic 40K or like War Master or like Napoleonics is, they think everybody loves how massive the battlefields, but it's daunting to try and paint that many things, and they'll see it all at once and be like, oh man, that's a lot of things to paint, without realizing that I've been collecting for 5-6 years. I will paint in spurts, and they look good from this far away, and if you bring them any closer you will see every mistake. Please don't do that. But it's very daunting to get into like a new game, because especially if you know what it all involves, like buying, like for Games Workshop, it's you got to buy the core rules, and then you got to buy your rules codex, and then you got to buy your FAQs, and then you got to pay attention to your FAQs and your updates, and oh, the meta changed, so these units are useless, but these ones are good, so you got to buy 3 more of those new units and stuff like that. So it's very, but like I've been playing Hordes of the Things version 2 for almost 15 years, and I use paper stands that I printed off 15 years ago, and that game still is as exciting as like the first time I played it.
That's cool.
I would say it's even more exciting because I know like how things work against each other and like how I would expect this to go depending on like the dice roll. And I'm a power gamer, so I like my number crunch. I like crunchy numbers. Randomness pisses me off, especially in games. So like if I know it's going to be random, I'm fine with it. But if it's just like a random encounter, I'm just like, cool. That's cool. I don't know. It's fun.
I think that's one of the things that also can be a barrier to other game systems sometimes is that fact of, is it a highly randomized, is it a tight rule set?
Yeah.
You know, is it a very like rules light rule set that leaves a lot of space, you know, for unanswered questions when it comes to how do I resolve a thing? Because that can also be very frustrating if it's like, well, I want to know exactly all my options. Yeah. You know, and I mean, I think we saw that with our Forbidden Psalm campaign, right? Where people would be like, well, what about this? And then it would be like,
well, it doesn't say you can't. So I would say yes.
Just do it. Right. Yeah. And then people are like, but wait, you know, and you're like, well, no, it's fine, you know?
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with another buddy of mine when we were talking about DMing styles and that idea that some people are so resistant to make the rules fit the narrative, right? And to change the rules or to not be married to what is exactly in the book, right? Yeah. And we were postulating that our proclivity to be like, whatever, you know, is based on the years of playing and seeing the different rule sets and being in a rule set that it was, hey, here's all these options, pick what you want, change what you don't. Yeah. Versus a lot of people nowadays, which are just coming into, say, for instance, 5th edition, and it's like, and they've never had any other experience, so they see it as, these are the rules, and I must abide by the rules. Yeah. And those same kind of people, I think, sometimes coming into wargaming can struggle because it's like, well, this doesn't tell me how to resolve this thing, so I'm uncomfortable just making it up. Yeah. Or on the flip side of that, it's like, hey, this isn't crunchy enough, like this isn't competitive enough. Yeah. Because it's too loose.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think that is where I am sitting with Forbidden Psalm personally, is it's too loose and it's too random. That's why I don't play the original Mordheim at all. It just feels like you're just sort of rolling on 9 charts and praying that
something goes your way.
Well. Yeah, like all your stats increase randomly whenever you level up. You get random properties, you get random gold, you get random food. Like you can work the numbers so you can roll more dice, or you can like plus or minus dice rolls, but like you're just praying that the dice gods like you at the end of a game where like the entire point is building a gang to be good instead of praying that you spent your credits wisely. And now your sharpshooter has +4 strength.
Yeah, you have no onus over your own trajectory, yeah. Which is really extremely frustrating. It's like 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons when the math made no sense. It was all Thaco or Thaco, depending how you say it. Everything was a percentile chart. Yep. You know, like it was totally random. You're like, wait a second, I got the Super Master Thief and I still can fail trying to pick this lock, you know, with if I have 20% chance of failure, like that's crazy, you know? So there really is that level of like frustration when you get to that randomized piece, which is one of the things that I find, and I've said this so many times, but so interesting about the fact that they are trying to make a competitive circuit currently for Trench Crusade, because the dice rolling is so swingy for murdering something that I'm just like, how does this become a competitive circuit? Now I've heard
isn't like the entire murder system, like everything has 2 wounds where like if you get hit once you're bloodied, and then if you hit again
no, you can continue to get bloodied, but basically you have to get the out you know, stat roll, which there are ways to make it a little bit harder, but effectively, like the smallest dude can kill the biggest monster on just a 12. Yeah. You know, so like if you happen to box cart, you're good to go.
Cool.
You know, which leads me to narrative play versus competitive play. And there are different appeals. Yeah. For me at least, right? And that's one of the things that I like about a lot of the niche games is that I may have no desire to play it competitively, but man, it's a great narrative experience.
That's how I feel about First Blood versus Conquest, or the Argument of Last Kings, or whatever the big thing.
Yeah, the big tall name is. Yeah.
Like, I played First Blood a couple times with a few friends down in Richmond, and it's narrative. You do scenarios. You have like mid scenario changes where like, oh, this thing has happened. Now this is happening.
Ooh.
It has changed the battlefield like this. But nobody at the store fucking plays it. So I don't play it at the store. I have in fact tried to convince several other people to try and play it because it's fast. You can play a 4-player game in 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Color me intrigued.
Yeah. Skirmish games at 28 and above are the only things that I really like playing. At 15 and lower is when I really like to start playing the mass battles. Like I have, I think 5 War Master army, like 4,000 point War Master armies, and it cost me $16 in resin for each of them. So I'm for 4 armies fully assembled on bases, not including the rulebook because the rulebook's out of print. 4 armies painted, $75.
Yeah.
What can you buy for $75 in Warhammer?
I think you can buy 4 tactical marines.
You can buy 2 special characters.
2 special characters, and oh, by the way, you still need 1,800 more points to be able to play a game.
Here's 2
Hard pass.
spearheads, and there's no HQ models. Fun fact.
Can't even run them legally.
Nope.
Yep, good times.
Technically, you can run it as the spearhead, but the spearhead is a whole separate thing where, like, or whatever it's called in 40K, the start collecting or whatever, where like you can run it, but it's the one list. You can run the box and you can't change it.
Yeah, that's what run it as is. And people a lot of times will try to get me in. People have tried to get me into like Kill Team and stuff like that. I'm just not interested. Like no. I don't like the rule set. It's too clunky, and I don't know. Like I'm just over Games Workshop personally, but that's just me.
I play a lot of their dead games, but I get it. Well,
and that's my thing too. Is I was like, when I liked 40K, I liked 40K when it was pie plates and templates everywhere and everything, and it was random. Like I had a randomized orc army.
You mean Horus Heresy?
Well, see, no, don't you start with me. Don't you do it.
That's Horus Heresy is Old Hammer for it's Old World for 40K. That's all it is. I want to put down templates and I want to do these things, and I want to do the charts. You have a weapon skill of 2 and I have a toughness of 5, so you need 5s.
Yeah, I know. My buddy tried to get me started in Horus Heresy for that exact reason.
Yeah,
he's like, it plays faster, and it's just like old school. Was that like 7th or 8th edition?
It's
6th edition.
It's like 6th edition.
Yeah, 6th edition 40K, which is what I played, and it's fine, like whatever. But I'm not playing. GW's not getting my money, so tell with that. But circling back around to what you were saying earlier, so you got started in your teens in 40K.
Yeah, I started. One of my friends brought his Space Marines to church, and I was like, "These are really cool."
Space Marines.
Yeah, his 3rd edition Firstborn Ultramarines.
Ooh, throwback.
The exactly 28 millimeter.
But way before scale creep.
Yeah,
Hero Hammer was not a thing yet.
Not even art scale was a thing then. And he brought like the old tiny rhinos, and we played Warhammer, except I was playing with army men and like Matchbox cards, and he was playing with official models, and I was just like, I can get into this.
Yeah.
And then I saw the price tag and I was like, I'll slowly get into this. I started Necrons, realized how just absolutely fiddly putting together the kits were.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Because it was the old 3rd edition, like 4th edition kits. So there was the barely new plastic ones. All every special thing was metal. So like the flayed ones were metal, the destroyers were metal, the Catan were metal. It was bad. And then I was like, this sucks. I'm going to go do Tyranids because I like hordes. And then again, Tyranids are so finicky to put together. And I was like, this sucks.
Monopause Marines, let's go.
I went orcs.
Yep, so, there you go. Yep.
Where I could kit bash anything and scratch build stuff. And
love it.
All I would really have to buy were the boys and then all the vehicles I could just make.
Yep.
So, and that's what I did. I think I sold the official models a long time ago when I moved to Pennsylvania, but like I'm sure the scratch build stuff is somewhere in the barn because my parents never throw anything away.
Yeah. Is that where your love of scratch building and kit bashing happened?
Yeah, I was born poor, so like if I wanted to do tabletop stuff, I had to be able to either make it myself or get it for super cheap.
Totally.
So I've been doing like I grew up on this is gonna ruin my credit, but I grew up on a TG on 4chan.
Okay.
Which is traditional gaming.
Yeah.
And there was a really popular game. It was just like a rules light, barely 40K, where it was different factions of army men based on what color the army men were.
Okay.
The white was tundra, and they had like move through snow, so they got double move in snow, and they could their snipers could hit extra far because they were used to such open ground. And blue could go through water like it was nothing, and they could hide in the shadows and stuff. And that's you buy a big old thing of army men for $20, and you have
limitless fun.
Your entire army, and you just like new editions kept coming out every year. So like it was like the 1-page rules. I started playing.
It sounds like OPR.
It was like the OG OPR.
Yeah.
Before they bloated into a Games Workshop clone.
Yep. Back when OPR actually was on 1-page.
Yeah. I was like, oh wow, this is fun game. And like I was playing my friends who we were getting burned out in 6th edition from 40K just because it was
all Alpha Strike.
Expensive. It was all very rush forward, don't shoot anything, get stuck in because combat was the way to win, which was great for me because I was going to say the only army I ever consistently lost to was Corn Berserkers because they would charge and they would get 6 attacks instead of my 4.
Yep, they just chopped through you.
Yeah.
That was when was it Death Guard? No, not Death Guard. What was the Blood Angels guys that were crazy? The
Red Death or whatever.
Yeah, those guys. Like I remember that was like you ran a big block of those guys back then and stuff like that. Yeah, and it was all just dropping Alpha Strike, getting in your face. You just had to weather the first round of combat of shooting and then just destroy.
Yep. That was also the edition where you could charge out of drop pods the turn you dropped.
Oh yeah, I remember. I had a Raven Guard army that did that.
When they released the Imperial Armor supplement for Orc Rocks, that's all I did.
I loved Imperial Armor supplements, man. They were so good.
I made like 9 rocks out of pink insulation foam and the old school Citadel screw-off lids that look like rocket thrusters. Yep. They're like, what are these? Oh, these are my drop pods. They also do just a 5-inch bubble if they land in the middle of things. They don't get destroyed. They just crash.
Just like when Forge World was cool. You know, and they still did
when Forge World existed?
Did they? Yeah, true. To your point, yes. Touche.
Because Games Workshop ate it?
Yep. Just much. Have you done or looked at Space Weirdos? It's like OPR adjacent.
Oh no, I've been looking at Space Kits.
Space Kits, yes. That's by Matt Hutchison.
I believe
who is the guy who did Gaslands. Yeah, they did Gaslands, yeah. Which we had an epic game of that you won the other day, by the way.
Barely.
Crushed it. Barely. I don't know if I'd say barely. I don't think
I was the only one that had gotten through 3 gates, and I was...
If we had managed to destroy you...
Very hard.
But no one was close to getting through that extra gate to catch up. I love Gaslands so much.
Oh, yeah, no, I picked up a couple Hot Wheels toy haulers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're still Matchbox size, but they're like up... Like, I don't know what scale they are, but it's like looking at a Conquest Mini next to a 40K Mini.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can definitely tell one's bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
Or meant to be bigger. So I was just going to do those into, like, I don't know, war rigs or something.
Hell yeah.
One of my friends in Richmond is getting in his playgroup into Gaslands, and they are planning on doing 200-point war rigs.
Woo!
So we're going to do 200-point war rigs, and it's going to be teams. Figure 8 war rig racing.
Oh my god, that's going to be so good. Gotta send me pics.
If I remember, yeah. Most of the time, if I'm doing something, I'm paying attention to it and not taking pictures of it, so...
As you should. That's the point of gaming, right?
I try to stay present in the moment so I can remember it instead of looking at a screen and remembering my screen.
There was a article I read that was talking exactly about that, where they were saying that it's a death of storytelling, basically, is what they're saying, in memory, because we are leaning so hard on the influence of social media, which is a non-contextual excerpt of a scene. Yeah. That is removed from the story and the moment of when it was actually taken, and it's been whitewashed into whatever the person is trying to present to you, right?
Yeah.
So we're being snapshotted with all of these things through social media all the time, that is non-contextual, right?
Yeah.
So we're losing the story of the thing that is happening on us. Conversely, we're so dependent now on devices to capture a moment that we're not present in that moment, and allowing it actually to build a neural pathway into our memory, and to set in, all we remember is what's in our phone.
Yeah.
Right. We don't remember the emotional, existential, experiential context of where that photo was taken or what was happening in the photo, because we're so concerned with trying to get the good shot or whatever the thing is. And that was very telling to me. And that's one of the things that I've also tried to do, which is get to that point of not being so concerned with sharing the experience with the neo-social circle of, whoever's social media, right?
Yeah.
People on the internet. Parasocial, that's the word I think I was looking for. And it's one of the reasons I don't have social media, right? Like I got rid of it years ago. Because that exact thing, like I'm spending all this time for this false relationship concept. Not that you can't make friends on the internet, and that's all real, but the pretense of what's being presented out there, and losing the presence of the moment. It's one of the things that I constantly struggle with from a gaming perspective in the modern era, because I hate maybe is a strong word. I dislike to have to refer to a device to play a game, but because of digital rule sets, it makes updated rules and balances and all those things so much easier than having a paper copy of a book.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm engaged enough with electronics in my day-to-day life, and when I'm playing a game with a person, that's not what I want to engage with, or else I play video games or something, right? Like, yeah. So it's like a frustrating first world problem.
That's another thing that I'm not a big fan of Conquest for, is the like, cool, the rules are free, but they're all online. And I do have like an oversized Kindle, so like that's fun, but it's just I like having pages to flip through.
Totally.
I have played a few games where it's digital and I have to go into my phone, and especially for like 5e, a lot of my players recently have just show up with like their phones or their tablets, and their character sheets are on the screen.
Yes.
And it's getting to a point where I've already like instituted a few things where, like, if you no show no call 3 times in a row or 3 times within like a 2 or 3 month period, you're out. And it hasn't happened a lot, and it hasn't happened consistently when I have been running it, but with my new group, it is, if certain players are not being engaged, they're just on their phone. And I get it, they're like rating their abilities and stuff, and they're trying to figure it out, but like when it's their turn in combat, they're so still engrossed in their phone that I would be like, I have to use their government name instead of their character name, which sort of, for me, detracts from the entire overall experience.
Yeah, it breaks the narrative.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's so frustrating about that experience, because the same thing that I've encountered over the last couple of years in role-playing is everyone going to like the digital tracking and the apps and that kind of thing for the characters and the rule sets and stuff. And I get it. Like if there's a hot button and there's a keyword that you can tap on, and like, I mean, I get Trench Crusade's app is actually pretty good. Like their rule set's pretty good for that, digitally speaking, because it is all integrated in there, and you can just tap on it and, well, what does this keyword do? Oh, boom. Okay. That's what it does. Right. But from a role-playing perspective, especially, you're supposed to be playing the role of the character. Yeah. And it is too easy to either get sucked into the rule set and what you're looking at, or more likely what I've encountered is when there is something else going on at the table that does not engage that person. Yeah. Now they're scrolling social media, they're getting that dopamine hit from something else, right? Versus being there. And it's why I like the pen and the paper, right? Give me pen and paper. I still will draw out my character sheet or print one. You know what I'm saying? There it is right there. Bang. Stenopad, baby.
It's all my DM notes from the last like 3 sessions. And like, I tried the first session with my laptop, and I felt like I was staring at a screen instead of my players for so much that I stopped bringing my laptop to sessions. I bring this and a pen, and if I need to roll behind a DM screen, I'll just cool. Yeah. But yeah,
do you use miniatures?
Yeah. I'm not as miniature into minis as like Maddie, who owns easily 1,000 minis for D&D. Like, I learned how to play on those shitty little 2nd edition cardboard cutouts for characters and different sized shell casings for the monsters. So like that's how I first learned how to play BattleTech. Was one side was different colors of shotgun shells and the other were different rifle rounds, and that was it. So I will use minis. Yes, D&D was originally a Cinema of the Mind game, so like I'm fine without using minis. Combat helps. If I want a tactically feeling fight where the players are choosing where they're going and they're choosing their abilities and they're stacking their abilities with everyone else, and I want them to feel like the heroes they are, I will use minis and I'll use a map.
Mm-hmm.
If they're running through a city and suddenly these thugs come out in front of them and I need to bypass them, I'm not slowing everything down to draw a map out and drop down minis and have them, I'm going to 5-foot step around this and then be able to do this. You're just like, cool, you roll acrobatics, you jump over the guy, and you keep running.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I've always struggled with, because same thing, like I grew up playing Narrative of the Mind. Yeah. Right? Like, and I felt in my experiences in using miniatures, because I think it's a natural progression. Most people are like, oh, I want to use miniatures, they'll be cool, right?
Yeah.
Is that I always felt like it slowed things down. And more than anything, I felt that it contributed to people getting bound up by the rules. Because now, instead of me explaining what this field is and where this battle is going and where there's some trees and some rocks and some whatever going on, and you're approaching the knoll in the clearing, what do you do? Right? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to count out my 35 movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not quite far enough. I can't quite get over there to get to him. So I'm instead going to step over 5. I'm going to hold my action. And like, hey, and you go over there and then I'll get the flank because you can move farther than me. So you can get behind him and then I'll flank and then we get the bonuses. Right? And blah, blah, blah. Versus just being like, hey, I want to run. I want to jump off of that tree. I want to try to come down and like shield slam the guy to push him back closer to my buddy. Can I do that? Absolutely. Let's roll. Yep. Right. So roll your acrobatics, roll your attack, boom, boom, bang. Next person, you're up. Right. And like, what do I want to do? Well, I want to run and I want to try and like slide by and like take out his Achilles tendon, versus just being like, I'm going to move over here and I'm going to attack.
Yeah.
But I've had people tell me that it helps them visualize the environment, the combat, the experience, because they like to be able to see what they have to interact with. And maybe I'm just a weirdo, but for me, I always prefer the like, give it to me loose and fast so I can do the narrative thing that's cool. And then as a DM, you just tell me how to do, like what I need to roll to check on it, right? Or if it's not accomplished, like, can I shoot them with my bow? And they're like, well, they're in range, but they're in cover. Okay, cool. I'm going to take it anyways. And whatever,
Yeah. I tend to be fast and loose with monster rolls and like, like the last combat that I ran, they were in a forest and we were hunting boar, and somebody was like, how far off the ground is the first branch in this tree? I'm just going to climb this tree. And I hadn't even thought of that.
Sure.
Which led to the boar, slamming into the tree and breaking the tree, and it sort of becoming this weird like bridge system between the trees. And it was just, I don't think we would have gotten to that point for the combat if there hadn't been a map and minis to represent it, just because they can see, there's trees. This is the placement. This is the placement. This is the placement. And it was just it was really entertaining to watch minis try and attack characters and then get distracted by a holographic sexy pig.
Ooh, sexy pig.
which was described by the character as Pumbaa with tits.
Oh, titty Pumbaa.
Yep. And he's like, it's just Pumbaa except with 6 boobs. And it was just like, yes, very good. But I don't think, especially with a couple of the newer players, that they would have been able to see their options mentally, just because they don't have the they don't like know what kind of shenanigans that you can get into with 5e. And I'm very a rule of cool DM where totally. If it's cool and I'm like, hell yeah. Absolutely, you can do it. DC might be a little higher, but like worth trying. I'm one of those odd DMs that over prep and then just sort of have like, I have a lot of prep. So like, as you were talking about earlier, like that hypervigilance where like I have to be prepared for everything. But I will prepare for everything. And then once they get started going on, 4 different things, I'll just sort of combine it and improvise. And it's led to some interesting things. So yeah.
Well, I guess it always comes back to that, right? And ultimately, at the end of the day, like as DMs, like or GMs, whatever your terminology is for the person running the game, it's our job to facilitate that story experience and however that works, right? Yeah. And I guess mine probably just comes from the bias of we were too poor to have miniatures, and we didn't have tables, and we had some books and some pen and paper, and that was cheap.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, no, I was
definitely... And it might
definitely...
become some pennies, maybe, and some squares, and then we'd be like, can we go back to narrative of the mind, right? Like,
I will say that I was raised just a little later than you.
You're very kind. I appreciate you.
But I was definitely, by the time I realized that this was a hobby that I wanted to get into, there was already 2 hobby stores.
Mm-hmm.
One of them had a permanent D&D like grid system on the tabletop. So like,
that's cool.
Any map you wanted to draw, you could do that. But also, we're living currently in the age of I can print off whatever mini I want to.
Yeah.
For pennies on the dollar. And printers keep getting cheaper and they keep getting better. And
accessibility changes things, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing about getting into games, right? Like accessibility changes so much. If I'm not restricted to, if you're fighting a horde of skeletons, right? And it's the option of 1990s, and I have to go to find a game shop, and I have to hope that they have some skeletons or a skeleton kit in there, and I've got to spend 60, 70, 80 bucks as a 14-year-old or 15-year-old just to have some skeletons for one combat. You're going to get pennies. Yeah. Right? On the table in front of you. You know, maybe the 3 skeletons I have from my Hero Quest set or from like some other like game that I have laying around, but you're going to get some pennies is what you're going to get. Yeah. You're not getting, but nowadays, like you could bang that out in like an afternoon, you print them, you hit them with some paint, contrast paints, and in, a couple hours, you've got 20 skeletons ready to go, you know?
I have done that with, I've done zombies where I just needed 60 zombies, and I printed them all off, and I hit them with a bunch of just like primed them white, contrast, little dry brush, and I had 60 zombies in 3 hours. Yep. Not including print time. And I was doing it, and one of my friends was like, yeah, I was part of the generation where those would have been either monopose metal minis on slot bases, or the arms would have had 0 attachment points. Yep. And Zip Kicker did not exist, so you would have just been holding those arms there forever.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about metal minis. That was I've got a few of them laying around here too that I still have retained over the years, the decades. Yeah. But that's true. I wasn't even thinking about the fact of trying to go in and when minis were all in pewter still, and the ability to do something that was non-existent, right? And there weren't really a lot of paper standees back then either. Yeah. Because you didn't have the art.
Yeah, I was gonna say they didn't have the quality like laser printers that they do now that can print high quality small pictures.
I mean, forbid we're still in the era of the dot matrix. You'll definitely not print art that way. Yeah. So, I mean, resources obviously change that. And I've tried to adjust with the times, I think, with my DMing and everything, and not be so biased and adhere to it. My only thing is like game flow is important to me. Yes. And regardless of what system you're playing, at least to date that I've experienced, combat always slows things down. And I feel like adding miniatures can add to that. But some people argue with me and they're like, well, if the players have to ask you 6 times what the environment is around them, then that can also slow down combat. Yeah. And I'm like, sure, I've not experienced that, but sure, like technically, I guess it would.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say for like, I think Dice Nights is something they have to worry about for that, because there's just an influx of new players or newer players that if there's no map, they're picturing something completely different because they just don't have a basis for it.
For sure. Yeah, that's fair.
But nope, my brain is gone. I quit vaping 3 days ago. Plus, I've been awake since 6 o'clock. So
why did you do that? I'm good on you, I guess.
Because there's lead in them.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay. Well, protect your lungs. Let's keep them lungies strong.
I mean, there's not like an incredible amount of lead, but I mean, talk to anybody that was alive during the 80s and breathed in car smoke. They'll tell you that birds aren't real and the president is talking to them.
I will say that I developed exercise-induced asthma, coincidentally, right around the time that I had begun vaping pretty heavily in the mid-2000 teens to get the nicotine hit when it was wrapping your own coils and doing that whole thing with cotton and stuff, kind of mechanicals. Coincidentally. And then I stopped, and about a year and a half later, didn't have it anymore. Yep. So, maybe there's something to that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely my body does not like it. It produces a ridiculous conversation to be having.
That's cool. It can go at the end as Easter egg.
Fair enough. It produces like twice as much phlegm, so like I'm
I
just
believe it,
constantly just sort of trying to clear my nose and
Mhm.
like clear my throat. I'm just this isn't worth it.
It's an irritant for sure. I get that some ways when I like when I retrohale if I'm smoking I can't retrohale on cigars because they burn too much. But with pipes, like I'll retrohale on a pipe, and that's fine. But I do produce a lot more mucus because it's an irritant, right? That's what it does, you know. So it's I feel you. I do play with ideas though about nicotine and cognitive function because there are some good studies there. But everyone that I've talked to all says as long as you don't smoke it. I actually heard a doctor tell a buddy of mine, I would rather you chew tobacco and get your teeth messed up and potentially mouth cancer over smoking it because it's like that much less bad for you and you still get the nicotine. And I was like, wow, that's a strong statement coming from a doctor.
Yeah, that's why people do Zyn now. So
yeah. And that's one of the things that I want to talk to my, so I actually have an appointment next month coming up with my doctor. And that's one of the things we're talking about because we're talking about just enhancement stuff, performance focused things. And that was one of the things I had a question about was the use of nicotine for to fend off cognitive decline and like long-term cognitive function. Because there's a lot of studies that kind of support this idea. And some people are saying even like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, being stemmed off from it. But I'm like, so how do you ingest it? Because I mean, I like smoking cigars and pipes, right? But I mean, it's not something I do regularly, like massively frequently, but I'll probably do on a weekly basis usually, sometimes. But it's that idea of how do you ingest it in a way that, because most of the studies I know have been people that literally just like drop or bottle nicotine into their mouth.
I was going to say that sounds like tincture or something.
Yeah, so. They do it that way. And I'm just like, I can't even fathom just drop or bring nicotine in your mouth, but like
you just buy tobacco, stick it in Everclear, and then that's a tincture.
I mean, basically, probably.
Yeah, no, right? that's what a tincture is.
Yeah.
Alcohol, it's an alcohol-based thing. So,
and how do they get it? And that's what I'm curious about Zen is like, how is it introducing it? Because I remember like the dip pouches, because I was never a dipper chewer.
Oh, it's a dip pouch. It's just synthesized nicotine instead of tobacco.
Because my understanding with dip pouches is they like cut your lips and that can cause like oral issues too because of the fiberglass and the packs but that's how it gets in your system.
Pretty much.
So I'm like,
that's how it gets into your system faster. I've never thought about looking into the medicinal uses of nicotine, just because the applications that I've looked at them in are more harmful than nicotine is helpful.
Sure.
Plus, I'm incredibly addictive personality, so I smoked cigarettes like twice, and then 3 days later, I was just like, use a cigarette.
Ready for it.
And that's how it happened.
Well, and that's the thing that, so like I've talked to some guys who have like performance people that like follow them and take care of them and do stuff. And they said that for the nicotine thing, because we were talking about peptides, right? Because everyone's talking about peptides right now, like BPC 157 and some other things, and high dose creatine for cognitive function and studies that were coming out for that. And so we're just going through this whole long, and they're like, yeah, well, our performance doctors are telling us like nicotine would be great, except for the fact that it's addictive. And then you just have to get to it. They're like, the withdrawal effects are the only real negative side effects if you're not smoking and like you're actually just getting just the nicotine. They're like, the only real drawback that they've seen is that the consequences of the addiction, right? So like the headaches and that kind of thing, the needing it effectively, or else you have, withdrawal symptoms. And for like their wheelhouse and what they do, it doesn't really work for them to have that kind of like, I have to have this thing with me all the time kind of a deal.
Yeah.
So they waved it off, but they're like, if you don't have a problem getting it, then like our people are saying like, yeah, it definitely can help you with cognitive function and things like that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I'm just curious. And because like I know a guy who chews like the nicotine gum, like I assume it's Nicorette or something like that, like literally nonstop.
Yeah.
Like but he used to be a chain smoker, right? And he's like, well, yeah, but I do this now. And he's like, yeah, it helps my cognitive function, blah, blah, blah. And this is when I cut it off. And this is when I start every day. Like, it's very like rigid about it, but literally it goes from like piece to piece to piece to piece. And I'm just like, and he's like, yeah, my problem is not carpal tunnel. What's it called? TMJ. Yeah. He's like, I've got TMJ in my diet. And, my doctor's like, I'm fine with you chewing it, but you're going to like screw your jaw up because you're constantly chewing it. And I guess the gum is like stiffer than normal bubble gum or whatever.
It's got like a hard shell around it. And that's what the nicotine's in. So.
Yeah. So anyways, I mean, don't smoke, kids. Don't do it.
Oh, I was, one of the bullet notes that you said were different mechanics or like what turns you off from like
an
indie game.
There you go.
Just kind of like boring mechanics. Like I don't know if people consider Infinity a indie game or when it was more independent.
It definitely was. I would say it's a smaller game that has a large following at this point. Because man, crunchy rules I've heard.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very technical, very it feels very, I don't know. But I've played a couple games of it, and the entire mechanics is you have a high stat roll under it on a D20, good luck. And I'm just like, this is tactical D&D. Mm-hmm. This is all this is. Mm-hmm. Instead of rolling above, you're rolling under, and that's all it is. And I was just like, this is just, it feels flat. Mm-hmm. Like the special snowflake abilities that everybody has is supposed to help with that, but like the core mechanic is roll under your stat. And then I will try and roll under my stat. And then if
more betterer.
Yeah. If my stat is, if my roll is lower than your roll, then I will be able to do this thing, which I mean, I guess at the core of all dice-based games is what it is. But there's a few games that I can think of specifically where there are dice mechanics that aren't just I roll, you roll, better one wins. I believe it's Into the Maelstrom. It's by one of the Instagram influencers for like the 28 community.
Okay.
It's a 15 millimeter game.
15 or 50?
15.
Okay.
1.5.
I was like,
1.5.
I was like, that's a chunky.
No, it is not New Inquisitor. It's 15 millimeter based, and it's a D12 system where it's
like D12s. They don't get enough love.
Exactly. It's a dice pool D12 system where when you roll your attacks, the defender will defend, but only same numbers can block hits. So if you roll a certain amount of dice and you roll, say you're trying to get 8+ and you roll 3 8s and a 12, the 12 is a crit. You need another 12 to defend against it. But if you roll, defenders can add up their dice totals to equal what the attacker has rolled, and that is a glancing hit. Mm-hmm. So it's just less damage. You still get hit, but it's less damage. So,
but if you roll 3 8s, it block the 3 8.
Yeah, an exact number is a full block.
That's cool.
12s have to be blocked by 12s. You can't add it up. There's no glancing for 12s. Yeah, it
Into the Maelstrom.
I believe that is what it is called.
I believe I will be looking up this. Not that I'm getting any new games this year. Anybody?
It's a free game. So.
Oh, does no new games mean no free games? It's just paying
a Discord game. So it's one of those where the rules are up on a Discord server. Technically, you said you couldn't buy anything.
I did say that. You're right. You're right.
But yeah, it's that sort of mechanic where you are doing something with your dice other than simply rolling and looking at what you've rolled. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a rules-like game, and it's very much I'm going to build this base unit with a bunch of different abilities, and then I'm going to make 6 of them. And it feels like a large-scale combat skirmish game.
Okay.
Where there aren't that many like bases. You're not like throwing 60 stands at each other. Sure. But you're also trying to move tactically within like it's still very much a small scale, large scale battle. So like if you count the minis on the bases, you're playing with 60, 70 minis, but there's 10 of them on a base,
right? And
it's supposed to represent your whole squad or your whole platoon.
Yeah.
And
so it's an army scale game, but with like skirmish level stand models. Yeah, totally.
Or like Great Helm. Great Helm is another game that it's a D6 based game, but it's not I'm just going to roll 2d6 and add my numbers. It's at the beginning you get a d6, 2d6 for every member in your squad, and you roll those, and then depending on what you rolled is the actions you have available to you for your entire turn, and you go from 6 to 1. So if you roll like 6 dice and you get 3 6s, you have 3 6s that can go, and so it's kind of like Gaslands where all gear 1s go.
Right.
It's everybody's 6s go. So if I have 3 and you have 1, I get to go 2 more times than you do.
Right.
At 6. Or you can take a 6 and flip it down to a 5. It does something different, but the higher up is a lot of move, and like the 3s and 4s are attacks, and then like 2s and 1s are they're generally like bigger attacks or they're slower attacks.
Yeah.
So you can.
So they're correlative to an action.
Yes.
Sick. That's cool.
You do roll 2d6 to see if you succeed in that action most of the time, but it's played on a 8x11 piece of paper. Like the entire board is a printer sheet of paper.
That's cool.
Man,
that brings up new use to all of those books of maps and stuff that you for D&D and crap like that. I would imagine
it's really popular on Reddit. I found out about it on it's like a skirmish war games subreddit, and I learned about the Kickstarter and I backed the Kickstarter, of course. The book should be coming sometime in November.
I just got my Trench Crusade book finally.
Yes,
stoked. 1490 Doom books.
I
got all those into the expansions, the scenarios.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty stoked on those. I think so. Games that have inspired me from rule sets, Trench Crusade 100% got me because of the rules. I was like, oh, grimdark aesthetic. I mean, that's kind of cool, whatever. Probably crap rules. I got to the rules and I was like, I love this because it's so simple, but so much flavor is given to the rules based on the sub-factions, which is like an old school Warhammer thing, right?
Yeah.
That like they've definitely lost. Bushido. Bushido is a super cool blind dice pool mechanic where I roll against you, but I'm rolling defense and attack dice, and you're rolling defense and attack dice at the same time, and everything happens at the same time, but you don't know what the other person's doing.
Cool.
So that's super fucking cool. Malifaux, because you have cards that dictate what you can and can't do, and you can cheat and stuff like that. And I think
I was gonna say that sounds similar to Sunrot too. So
yeah,
where you're pulling cards and depending on what the card says, yes or no.
Exactly. And I think I found that I am inclined. Obviously, I prefer skirmish level games. Because I'm with you, like I haven't played epic scale stuff, but I feel like at this stage in my life, if I'm going to play an army level game, I'd really rather do it at an epic scale versus like a big scale.
Yeah.
But I find that dice pool games typically inspire me more from a gameplay perspective than just roll these dice. These are the dice you always roll versus like I have a variable dice pool. It creates a different sort of tension. In the gameplay.
That's what I really liked about Monster Apocalypse. It's not
never played it, always wanted to.
Not an indie game, but
is that a print anymore? It's not a print though, isn't it?
Steamforge bought it. So the same people that do Epic.
Steamforge bought it?
Yeah, Steamforge bought it.
When did they do this?
Recently, because they're
going to money grab it and then dump it.
I hope they actually do they said they're going to buy it and fulfill the Kickstarter, and
that would be amazing.
Yes, exactly. But I assume they're going to buy it for super cheap and then do the Kickstarter, make it worth something again, and then sell it off or something. The same thing that happened to the Robotech RPG or the Robotech. Those minis were pieces of shit anyway.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Fun fact: hard grade plastic does not do super spindly inorganic things very well.
Shocker.
Who
knew? If only they were a miniature development company, that would have been. Oh, they are. I have mixed feelings about Steamforged because Steamforge has made some really good stuff. Like I like their epic encounters.
Yep,
they're so much fun. Their Frost Giant actually is my stand-in my Conquest because I like it better than the Frost Giant for Conquest, and it's also like a third of the cost, which is great. And they're great, and they're super convenient for Dungeons and Dragons games, right? They used to run Guild Ball, and then they decided to bring it back, and I've never been a huge Guild Ball player, but I've always liked the idea of Guild Ball, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that they brought it back years later, and they apologized for, or quasi-apologized is my understanding about what they did with the system. But then they also went through a massive stint of Kickstarter churn and burns too, which put a bad taste in my mouth for them, right?
Yeah,
so it's like a weird company for me. I'm like, I like some of their stuff, but I also kind of don't like how they do other things.
I think if I was around for all the Kickstarters, I would probably feel similarly, but I don't have that bad taste in my mouth. That's how I feel about Mantic. Is not an independent company, but anytime they do something new, they kickstart it.
Yeah, well, I think unfortunately that's like the era we live in, and I understand from a company perspective. I don't understand because I don't run a game company, but I can theoretically comprehend how I'm going
to do something risky with somebody else's money instead of my money.
Right.
But still, you're a game company. You shouldn't be doing something. If you think it's going to fail, you shouldn't be doing it.
Why not pre-order it? Just do a pre-order instead, right? Like that seems like that's a viable option. That still is effectively a Kickstarter.
Because for pre-order,
you already have to be able to produce the product.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for Kickstarter, you can have 6 months. You can just have like a dead air 6 months and be like, we finally made the molds.
Yeah.
you guys paid for these molds, yay.
Yeah. I've never played their Hellboy game, but I heard it's good.
It's fine. It plays like every single it plays like the Walking Dead game. It plays like it plays like fucking Zombie Apocalypse?
Last Night on Earth?
No.
Zombicide.
Zombicide, yeah, where it's just like zones, and then you move zones, and only a certain amount of people can fit in a zone, but a limited amount of enemies can fit in a zone, and kind of like Halo, where like you can move up and down and across zones instead of squares, and it's just it's fine.
Yeah.
Like most of their games, it's fine. My favorite game of theirs is, I believe it's a Dead game. It's their Armada.
Mm-hmm.
It's their sail ship boat. The boat game.
Yep.
Like I'll play the shit out of any boat game forever.
So there's before I jump to the questioning you about Dystopian Wars, I
love Dystopian Wars. I played Antarctica.
Let's go. I got it. Oh, they're not there right now. They're
up there. Yeah.
They're up there. They're up there getting ready to get painted someday. Another compelling piece for me that I think can add variety in game rule set, like Gaslands, like X-Wing, which is when you can introduce a static couple of dice to check things.
Yeah.
But when you pair that with another rule or gameplay mechanism, right, it becomes interesting, like forced template use.
Yeah.
Like you touch it, you use it.
Yeah.
Or like I have to make a decision about this movement template, and then I set it down, and then I roll my successes, and now it's a different kind of tension than if I'm just going to roll my dice and see if I can just move where I want to move.
Something similar in it's the big X-Wing.
Armada,
yeah, where depending on the class of your ship, that's how many dials you have, and at the beginning of the game you do top down or the bottom. I forget which way you go, but you basically have to do the first 5 turns at the beginning of the game, and then you just keep redoing it. So you really hope that 5 turns ago you knew what the hell you were trying to do.
Yeah, Matt was explaining this to me because I've never played Armada. I played X-Wing, first edition X-Wing. I played like one game of second edition.
It's to simulate how big the ships are and how
how slow they are to move and crap.
Turn and
which is compelling. Like that's super interesting to me.
It's awesome that 5 turns ago I thought I would be doing this, but turns out I'm not hurt. I don't need to repair.
Everyone's over there.
Yeah.
I think those things are what's interesting and compelling. But it's funny to me that I feel like so many of those unique rule mechanisms tend to be on games that don't get supported for long. But then I go back to, if that's the case, and there's a secondary market for X-Wing, there's a secondary market for Armada.
Is there?
Hypothetically. Hypothetically. I mean, there's eBay, right? Whatever.
That's fair.
Right. Say there's a secondary market for the product of that game. I can find it elsewhere. It's not like it's gone up in smoke.
That's true.
So why are people so resistant? Because now your entry point is probably lower.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, maybe you spend $200 on models, but you got a shit ton of models, $200, whatever.
Because there's not new ones coming out.
Yeah, right?
You're stuck with what you have. I probably is what it is. And they're just like, oh, there's nothing new coming out. There's never going to be any updates to the rules. There's never going to be any new minis. There's never going to be any new support. I think any official support. I'm just like...
But how many times are you going to play a goddamn game?
I mean, I play Korheim once a week, and that's a fan-made game, but like, I get it. That's an incredible exception.
Right?
So like,
I feel like most people though, we hyper collect. Like we have an obsessive collective personality, right?
Yeah.
Most people in gaming are like that.
Yes.
I thought I was going to get all the MCP models just because I like comic books, right? And I was like, that's wild. Crazy. Because there's like over 200 models now in the game. Like I did not. I got my head out of my ass on that one, and I decided no, that was not going to happen. But the thing that I don't understand is realistically, when you look at replay and value in a game, it's not like when I was a kid growing up and I played board games with my grandmother. We played Sorry, we played Parcheesi, we played some like card games, and maybe one other game like Life or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And those are the games we always played, and we played them quite a few times.
Yeah.
People don't play war games like that, like unless you're just like you're a 40K, right? And you just play 40K, right? But most people, if they're going to pick a game up, like a board game specifically, games, I think you see this more so than in war games, but with board games, you pick up a board game and people are like, well, I got to get all the extra expanded content. And I want to be like, how many times are you actually going to play that fucking board game, my man?
Yeah.
Like realistically, are you going to play Wingspan? I mean, maybe you really like Wingspan and you will play it 100 times.
Yeah.
So you want to get that. Do you need every expansion for Dominion? Really? because that game, once it's solved, it's kind of solved as a card game. Don't get me wrong, Dominion's a great card game, but you know.
No, I get it. I have 3 expansions for Dominion, and I have yet to play the same game because I mean,
I've got the same thing in my board game collection upstairs, right? Like I definitely have expansions that I probably will never touch or I haven't touched, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where I struggle when it comes to like indie and smaller dead games and going back and playing those things, because if the secondary market or means to at least get things is there at a diminished entry level point, if you don't already have it, or say you already do have it, but it's like if I hold on to it and I get somebody else to get into it and say I have enough stuff that we can all play, and we play 5 or 6 times,
that's worth it for me.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I play with a bunch of power gamers and tournament players.
And that's a different mentality.
So,
admittedly. Yeah.
If we're going to get into a game, we're going to play it a lot. We're going to play it often. And that's why we got into Korheim. We started playing Mordheim like back in high school, and then we all went off to college, and then we all sort of came back, and we were like, oh, hey, we all live in the same place again. Let's start playing games again. And we've been playing the same campaign for Mordheim. Technically it's Korheim, which is a fan-based rules set that is head over heels so much better than the Mordheim rules. It takes all the chaos out of orcs. They make them a playable faction. You can choose your skills when you level up.
Novel idea.
Wild, right? Like it's just very much a game where they saw what happened and we're like, yeah, we really like the universe. We're gonna make this an actual game.
Yeah, like an actual playable rule set. Yeah,
and we've been doing that for easily 18 months. So
well, and I understand from a competitive perspective, games can get stale if they're not being updated and there's not new content or patches or balances or those kinds of things. Because ultimately, I mean, that's like what happened like Guild Ball, for instance, right? Like they solved it, they figured out the math and how to play the game, and you didn't even need to score to do it. And it was never fixed, so the game got toxic and died, right? And
that's what happened to War Machine.
Yeah, I mean, War Machine, yeah, same thing. I mean, most games.
I was going to say, at a competitive level, from what I saw, most War Machine players were, I have this list, you have this list. Do we really need to play it out because I know how this is going to go because these are how these lists always go against each other.
Yep.
Good game, I forfeit.
Yeah. And I think MCP has done a really good job of this from my perspective of a continual balance, because they constantly go back and they'll take models that no one is playing and be like, why aren't they playing these? Okay, let's patch them up. Like, let's give them a rework. And they do this like constantly in waves of like, let me fix this stuff. And we're going to change the scenarios that are up for competitive play. So it's every year or every 6 months, it's a new set of scenarios that's being remaintained, you know.
Every time I see somebody play that game, I really wish that I gave a shit about superheroes.
Yep. Because
it looks like a fun game. Like the way that I watched Aaron and Jordan play a game, and like it looks like it's a fun it's not like constantly in your face, but like it doesn't seem like there's slow moments in it. It's very much a ever flowing gameplay kind of thing.
Yeah, the action economy was really good. Yeah, you get a lot of like.
I mean, I played Shatterpoint before, and I loved Shatterpoint, but it never took off at the store, so I never bought anything more for it other than like I bought the base game, so I have like I have the 2 starter factions, and I have all the terrain, and like I've played it. It's fun. I love it because it's basically 3 mini games in one large game, because you each have your first objective, and whoever completes that goes on to their second objective, and it just sort of like trees out. So like even if you play the same scenario with the same teams and different things, like, oh, I won the first scenario, you won the second scenario. Now the third scenario is completely different because last time I won it and you lost.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of variety in that. And it's interesting too. So AMJ just mentioned that game's going to become a specialty game, and they're dropping focus on it to focus on Legion and MCP, which
I thought they killed Legion a long time ago, I'll be honest.
Well, I think they were going to, and then they brought it back. Or somebody else had Legion and they bought it. I don't remember what happened with
Legion just Star Wars 40K?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yep. I mean, people say it's different.
Isn't it just on the ground X-Wing?
I don't think there are actually templates actually, so maybe not exactly. I think that novelty in gaming is good. Obviously, I think variety in gaming is good. I'm a big fan of that. Competitive gamers are going to want a different thing out of a game
Yeah.
than someone who might say like, hey, I'll get this rule set, and especially if it's mini agnostic, and I will play 5 or 6 or run a campaign in this for 5 or 6 games and then be done with it. And it's good. I paid $20 for that rule set.
Yeah.
I got 10 games out of it with a friend. We got some laughs, good times. Like, this doesn't have to be the end all be all game.
Yeah. So my friend group is competitive. We're definitely power gamers, and we enjoy being able to do the most with the least amount of effort.
Mm-hmm.
But we still, we really like consistency and like tight rule sets, and very much like somebody cooked here kind of feeling where like we think of a ridiculous combo and we go piece by piece, and he's like, oh, this is how these rules say it would do. And like we grew up in like the era of Pathfinder 1E where it was
baby,
super bloated and we were breaking the hell out of it.
Yes. Yep. And so easy to break.
Yes,
that's get a summoner to level 6 and you can break the game.
Yep. I played a non-lethal damage dealer, and I was doing 12d6 non-lethal damage at like level 5.
You want to talk about the ability to break a game early? Man, Pathfinder is wow.
So like we came from Pathfinder, so like we enjoy our static number consistencies.
Mm-hmm.
And so just we tried Forbidden Psalm, and like it was just not us. Like we were making decisions because of what we could do instead of, doing the fucking meme that we were doing for, we would do it because it was fun for, in our campaign, and we were doing it. No, we're looking at Trench Crusade, just because we've heard that the rules are very consistent and very, we also just like the minis. The minis fucking look cool. Like Sultanate. I wish more armies looked like Sultanate, I'll be honest.
I think the representation in that game is great.
Yes. I'm glad that they are doing No Americas, though.
Yes.
I have heard that the people that run it will fucking expand it into Africa and Asia before they go across the sea, which I totally fine with.
Yep.
America was hell anyway, so... Oh, wait, no, it was never colonized, so why would they fucking care? Because...
Exactly.
There's no Christianity in Americas right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe their hell gates opened and the Wendigos are fucking eating,
just munching,
tearing it up,
just munching.
That'd actually be cool as shit. But we were looking at Trench Crusade just because of its like 6 minis. It's fully printable. They're starting to release plastic minis because we're all bits. We're bits goblins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. As soon as they release that walking church thing, I'm buying 2 of them and just making molds so I can do all the detail work.
Talking about the Anchorite Shrine?
Yeah, the Anchorite.
I love my Anchorite.
I was also looking
at...
Murder's
so good.
What is it? It's... we were looking at... It's not technically a war game, but there are so many combat-oriented rules and expansions for it that we can play it like that, and it'll be super fun because there's also a role-playing aspect. Lancer.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it's Dark Mechanic on Instagram did most of the illustrations, and it's very... He's like a inorganic-minded sketch artist where he's very good at like mecha, and he does a lot of Space Marines, and he's very good at that sort of... It feels like a sketch, but it's still like if you look at it from back here, it looks refined. But if you pull it up close, you can definitely see all the details. And it's a mech based, so your character is both your mech and your pilot.
Okay.
And so like when you level up, your mech levels up and your pilot levels up, so you can do both of those things. And we were looking at that, and it's very crunchy. There is 3 rule books of just guns. Like guns and armor.
Yeah.
We played D20 Modern for a really long time just because there were 6 different books of just arms and armaments and different ways we could arm everything and different ways we can make minions and stuff like that, and we played the hell out of it.
That's what I loved about second edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons was there were so many expanded rule books that just got into the weeds on stuff. It was great.
And that's honestly, if I don't know how they could have done it differently, but if Pathfinder First Edition, like they had a race for every fucking plane. They had 12 different classes, like starting classes, and then each class had like 12 subclasses, so like there's no way they could ever have balanced it, but like they were starting to do like avatar benders in 1A when I quit, so it was fun.
Yeah, I had a good time with Pathfinder, and I've still got Pathfinder upstairs because it would probably be my crunchy rules heavy choice because it's like it's basically 3.5 D&D with a couple of rules changes. Because no one's going to go back and play second edition advanced with me, so let's do it.
A couple of my players really want to play THAC0.
Oh God, I love THAC0 so much. It makes no sense. Wait a minute, you're saying that armor class 1 is better than armor class 10?
Yes.
Reverse numbers are good here, but the opposite is better
it's
there?
golf score for armor, but everything else is regular.
Yep. So good. So negative is good. So negative is positive? Yes.
Yes. Drow Mithril is a -1. That's somehow the best armor you'll ever find.
Best you'll ever get, yes.
Better than dwarf armor.
That's right. Oh, somehow. Man. Yeah, numbers are good. So, Max, for someone getting into indie and like dead games and stuff like that, if you had to give like a quick list of recommendations, what do you think it would be? What would be some off the top of your head? Places to start.
Oh, okay. There's Discord servers that there's several independent games that have Discord servers, and they will usually give away the rules, the basic rules, or even the whole rules in terms of like Necropolis and Tonks. Tonks is super rules light, but they have their own Discord and it's free. The 28 community, the hashtag 28 community in Instagram, they have the 28 mag has free rules in it. It's a lot of non-combat, but it's very intuitive. It's very build your own minis how you want to. There's no real like set way, which can be intimidating, but you know, Instagram also exists, so you can still look at a bunch of inspiration and stuff like that. Reddit is a good resource, not all the time, but I have found multiple people interested in playing games that I am also interested in playing, like Great Helm, that I wouldn't have found otherwise, and they're relatively local. Like I drove to Alexandria one time and played like a whole day of just Great Helm.
That's cool.
So like Reddit, I grew up in the age of 4chan, so I could also just sort of ask the internet to get me, hey, can you get me this one obscure book from Palladium that was only made in 1986? Yeah, sure. Give me 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. God, what was the
or like Dropbox and shit like that?
There was a PDF. I got so many rips, like scans off of this one PDF website back in the day, which I'm sure probably doesn't exist anymore. Scribed, yeah. Scribed, yeah.
That's how I got most of my Gorka Morka rules. But yeah, for cheap, free, like rules entry, I would go Instagram, the hashtag 28 community, the 28 mag. You can download those for free. I think it's like 28 mag, like the numbers 28mag.org or something like that. And
they're all mini agnostic, so that's a good way to make use of whatever you got.
It's mini agnostic, but it also has a big emphasis on conversions and conversions and scratch building, which, while intimidating to like a new indie game player, everybody's doing it. So like it's skill based, and you sucking at something's the first step of being kind of good at it. So
for sure. For
minis, I go to flea markets and buy like HeroClix minis in bulk.
Oh yeah.
Or I'll go to I think the last flea market that I went to was Your Hobby Place, and somebody was just selling all their HeroClix stuff, or they'll HeroScape, a lot of the old school HeroScape minis they're starting to sell now. There are like HeroQuest, if you can find it at like Amazon or Target, is a snap buy for me, just because one, HeroQuest is a fucking phenomenal game on its own.
Thank you. Somebody shit-talked HeroQuest and I almost had to throw a punch him.
So many minis that you can use for other games. Like, there's going to be games where you can play barbarians, those skeletons, those zombies, those, everything else. Those villains will come in handy. For rules, and they also have a good selection of paper cutouts. Drive-through RPG and Board Game Vault.
I didn't think about it. Yep.
You can buy PDFs for $5 and you own it, and you can print off as many paper stands as you possibly want. They have like 2.5D terrain where like it's
you can like stand it up a little bit.
You can stand it up a little bit.
A couple of those also you can get on a print by order basis too. Some of them have options on, I think it's Wargame Vault maybe, that you can get some of that stuff if you want a physical copy of a book and you don't want to print it out. You can also do it that way too.
Finding people, luck and the internet, being willing and able to talk to strangers on the internet is great. It's how I've found a couple play groups that play indie games that I have always been interested in, but nobody locally has really shown any interest in. Before they re-released it, Dystopian Wars.
Yep. Because
it's a hyper-casual game. My brain can do this. Gaslands. Like, Gaslands is not... It's competitive... Ish, yeah. Like, the rules are very... I mean, you're playing with fucking toy cars. You're gonna... Like, things are gonna move around. You're not gonna... It's not going to be super precise, so you sort of have to be used to that. Yeah,
you can't be a high-stress gamer, I think, and enjoy Gaslands. You can play it, you just might not enjoy it yourself.
Yeah, and just for, like, all the other accoutrement that you need for wargaming, like dice, dollar store sells fucking D6. Mm-hmm. Most hobby stores will be able to sell you individual dice for, depending on the size, you can usually get, like, D12s for 50 cents to 75 cents a piece, which might sound a lot, but like most of the time, most people are fine with you buying like 6 D12 and then just re-rolling any misses.
Yeah.
Like tape measures and stuff, I would go to, dollar store, Amazon, buy a Stanley. You can drop kick those in the walls and they will still work.
Yep.
Hell, you can even get like a sewer's tape measure, and those work very well, especially for RPGs and things where you're doing a lot of twisting movement and stuff like that. Your local hobby store, just go in and talk to them. They might smell weird sometimes, but most of the time, the people that work behind the counter are interested in getting people to stay in their stores, and they will talk to you and they'll be like, yeah, these are usually the big games. Here are some of the more independent games. And, a lot of places will have games days every once in a while. I know the one locally for me and Johnny, they're planning on doing Games Day soon, and it's like one table of, the Games Workshop stuff, one table of the other big game, and then it's just every other table is an independent game, and it's awesome because you just get a lot of... You learn about games that you've never heard of, or, you saw in passing, and we're like, oh, one day, maybe if somebody else is into it, I'll get into it. And you're like, oh, shit, I didn't realize there was, a little microcosm of people that liked this game.
Mm-hmm. And then I think you can also just like drag your friends into it too, as well.
Yeah, just force your friends to do your same hobbies. Like they're your friends. You're allowed to do it.
Yeah. Like I feel fortunate. Like Orion one day was just overheard us talking about a game and was like, "That sounds interesting." And I didn't even realize that they'd never actually even played like a miniatures game until just the other day when we were playing Gaslands. And I was like, wait a second, they played Forgotten Realms, Forbidden Psalm with us as well. So I was like, wait, you've never? Oh, I had no idea. Like, this is amazing. Right? I love that.
Yeah, no, they were just like hanging out. It was like her and another friend that doesn't come around anymore. They were hanging out, and we were talking about Forbidden Psalm, and me, Dan, I believe you, and Steven were talking about, we should do a campaign. Mm-hmm. There's 7 people. Hey, Orion, do you want to play Forbidden Psalm? I don't know what that is, but yes.
Love it. It's great. So those are all, I think all is good basis, right, to get started. And I think if there's anything I've learned too is be the champion. Like, find a game that you're interested in.
Yeah.
And just champion it. Find some people to play with it. Maybe you get a community started. Maybe you get just a few rounds of the game in. But then, you can find something else too, and make things happen that way. And then, you do weird things, like you make friends, and so weird. I know, like social interaction that's positive. What? So, well, cool, Max.
Well, we try.
We try. I appreciate you coming and hanging out.
Yeah,
I feel like we could keep stretching this conversation easily ongoing.
So much.
We're so close to 2 hours already. So.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's it. Hour 45, baby. Yeah, I'm going to edit that down, son. But no, I appreciate you coming and hanging out and chit-chatting, and we will circle back around to this in the future and continue our updates maybe on what we've been playing and what we're digging.
Yeah.
All right. Catch you on the flippity flap.
Smoke weed, don't smoke tobacco.
Yeah, smoke weed until that kills us too. Which,
Vape weed.
Vape weed.
Get a vaporizer.
Do it the right way
depends.
in a legal state at a legal age.
Do it at 21 in any state.
After your frontal cortex has established itself at 24, 25. 25. And then maybe start. I don't know. Don't listen to us. We're not doctors. Don't take any advice. Do I need to edit this out later?
How my life would have changed if I had started smoking weed that late.
Who knows?
I probably still wouldn't remember a lot of my life.